Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard to TQ Non-Profit Digital Voyage, a show where we talk about tech, social, and public good, and how you can get involved. I'm your host, Sabrina, and I hope everyone can sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. If you're ready, let's set sail. Now, on to our episode. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of TQ Non-Profit Digital Voyage. I'm your host, Sabrina, and today I'm joined by our guest, Madiha Fuad, also known as Maddie, from PlusVibes. So, welcome to the podcast, Maddie, and thanks for joining us.
Hi, Sabrina. It's great to be here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Just had Raya holidays, so it was a good break for me.
Okay. Did you go back to your kampong or?
I'm from Taiping. I'm a Taiping girl.
I see.
Had to go through the 5-6 hour traffic.
Oh my God, yes. I had the opportunity to go back by train, so thankfully I didn't have to go through the traffic.
Taiping or Ipoh?
Oh, me? I'm from Sangatani, Kedah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so for our listeners' information, Maddie is the founder of PlusVibes, Malaysia's first support and motivation app platform. I'd love to hear more from you, Maddie, so why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. So, my name is Maddie. I grew up overseas, which is quite an interesting background for me. My father was a diplomat. He's retired now, so I had the opportunity to experience different cultures, educational background. Surprisingly, I know it's very difficult to believe now because I'm actually pursuing my PhD, but I was dyslexic as a child.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I then had to read and write very late at the age of 10, and I really struggled in that sense. But then I realized that it wasn't a matter of me. It was more an education system where you're taught a certain way and you have to follow a certain way, but sometimes it doesn't really fit for everyone. So it took me a while to really understand what allowed me to understand different topics better. From that, came back to Malaysia, learnt Malay, went to UiTM Shah Alam, did journalism, and then my first job was a business journalist. From that, after 3 years as a business journalist at The Edge, I started my own entrepreneurial venture with a food truck, cafe, did a bit of interior design here and there, and last but not least, now into software development, which is where PlusVibes is at.
Oh, that's really interesting. You have a very broad background. So what's a typical day like for you in PlusVibes? You know, now that you said like you are pursuing PhD and all that, how do you juggle between like these different backgrounds you have?
So I think for PlusVibes is more about the dream. Creating something where it's free for the public to use. It's focused on support and motivation. It's a community app, and that's what I really want to go towards. And I think a typical day for me would be to do marketing initiatives, to do free university talks, to really break that stigma and create the awareness. How we project PlusVibes is more that it's associated with positive vibes. Mm-hmm. It's not associated with the mental aspect. It's more about preventing you from developing any sort of mental health struggles or issues. And I think that's something that people tend to forget, that generally anxiety, depression, we go through and we really struggle a lot because we were never really taught how to handle these emotions. Mm-hmm. I went through my own in 2019 when I suffered thoracic nerve damage, and I didn't use my arm. It was so bad. I was on pain medications. I was constantly having panic attacks, and I was admitted into the emergency ward. I think it was the inability for the staff there to really understand and comprehend what I was going through, because it's something that you can't see. A nerve pinch in your back on your long thoracic nerve, which is close to your spine, is not something you can see with the eye. similar to depression and anxiety. It's not something you can see. So for me to explain how I felt was very difficult. And I think the pivotal moment of my life was when this person said, you can't keep coming in like this and having panic attacks, because then we're going to have to send you to the psych ward. And for me, it felt even more terrible. I felt worse. And I was just like, oh, actually, okay, never mind. I don't want to seek help anymore. And I think that's what a lot of people face, especially when you do these like safe space talk sessions on PlusVibes. Why people prefer anonymity is because when they do reach out for help, they get judged. And people don't really understand what they're going through. But that's normal, because you can't really expect people to understand what you're going through. So that's where PlusVibes comes in. So it's more to give that kind of anonymous support and motivation for people who are just going through a phase in life, maybe a hiccup, a short temporary struggle, and they just need that kind of support system.
Wow, that's really interesting. I was really intrigued when I first heard about the PlusVibes concept, considering that, it's something of a community base, right? So what are the different services that you provide, considering that it's not a psychotherapy or medical help, right? It's a community-based help. So can you explain to me what kinds of forms of aids do you provide?
So basically, there's this Viber chat where it's not like booking a therapist or appointment. It's more like we have over 200 Vibers. They are with backgrounds of psychology, psychiatrists, counseling, hypnotherapy, so different backgrounds, and they're all on the platform to provide that support. Once you request for this chat, it's immediately connecting you to a Viber within 2 minutes. So I think that's something how we're different, because it's like that immediate support where you don't know what to do, you don't want to wait for an appointment, maybe tomorrow or the next day. So you get that immediate support so that your intrusive thoughts or your panic attacks can have some sort of, can have someone supporting you through that moment. That's one thing, which is a chat therapy. Other than that, the app also has motivational articles and videos. So those are from third-party sources. So we find articles ranging from anxiety, support, motivation, self-development, workplace, stress, childcare, different types of categories in this explore page, which sort of looks like your Instagram, but it's more like motivational articles and videos. And the last feature are relaxation activities. So it's like your quick access to breathing exercises, quick access to calming voiceovers or meditation. So not knowing what to do, suddenly we'll send you an in-app notification and be like, ding, don't forget to take a break. Have you had your coffee? Get to do this breathing exercises, So mental health is constantly something that you're thinking about. Those are the three main features. But of course, for corporate companies, it's something a bit more complex.
Okay, so speaking of corporate companies, I know you also mentioned, I saw on your website that you have this employee wellness program. That's it tells me personally that it's important for you that employers prioritize their staff's mental health. So why was it important for you personally to establish this program from the beginning?
Because I think it's undeniable that people are looking for happiness in the workplace. They're looking for work-life balance. Mental health does matter in the workplace, and that's where you see a lot of people the turnover rate is high, the retention rate is low. You see a lot of people suddenly having career breaks as well. I think my circle, a lot of people having career breaks because they're burnt out. They feel like my employer doesn't really matter or doesn't really care about what I'm going through. It's more on productivity. So there's not many, I would say, initiatives that really focuses on employee benefits. Perhaps the occasional talks, I think that's common in all corporate companies. But do you really have a safe app where employees can just seek help anonymously with the HR manager or boss really knowing that it's them? So that's something that we provide. Mobile application where you can have and the interface is very interesting because I would say we're the only one that really customizes the homepage to a corporate company. So it's like the corporate company having their own mobile app but everything's anonymous. So you can see the leaderboard whereby how many people are really actively engaging the app. And then you can unlock benefits, vouchers. You can get freebies from PlusVibes itself. For example, what we want to try to create an ecosystem or a community where mental health is something that you do every day. You take care of your mental health and you get rewarded for it, right? Mm-hmm. And the rewards are also everything related to like free spa vouchers or discounts on wow. Health products, those kind of things related to your mental health. So I think that's something that's important.
Speaking of like burnout, right? I was really interested to, like, the first thing that I thought of when we were talking about this employee wellness program, I was wondering how you and PlusVibes itself, like, how do you prevent burnout from happening, like, within your volunteers yourself?
Good question. So from our Vibers, right?
Yeah.
That I would say on a daily basis, we have maybe 200, 500 chat requests.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty high. So
yeah,
maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people might request, especially during the pandemic, there was even more. So what we do is we create a good community group support. We do sharing sessions. We do one-on-one mentorships with the Vibers. I think for them, it's more about community support as well. Mm-hmm. It's about experience as well. It's about showing the reviews. I mean, for them, it's about seeing the feedback that they get after they complete a chat. For example, the user would be like, this really helped me. I don't know what I would do without this app. I honestly feel like I wanted to commit suicide or these kind of things. And I think receiving that kind of feedback means a lot to the Vibers because they're actually doing something that's good for the community. It's their way of giving back. And it's my way of actually seeing like, wow, the impact that the Vibers make is massive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand that. So following up to, being in the pandemic and you see a surge of a need for psychosocial help, right? In the case you encounter a client that require help, like beyond the services that you offer, beyond that community support, what's your procedure in like helping them and assisting them to reach out for psychotherapy or medical help, anything like that?
Now, what the Vibers can do is they can do a preliminary assessment of the user on whether professional intervention is needed or not. So whether it's required or not required. Mm-hmm. If it is required, then we also prompt the user, okay, there's this, for example, mental health clinic or this freelance psychologist or psychiatrist. They can book their own. Sorry about that. They can book their own sessions with the psychologist or psychiatrist. So what we do is identify who needs professional intervention, and then we would also prompt them to a Google Meet or a Zoom link with external freelance psychologists and psychiatrists. Something moving forward that we are also doing is a book a therapist feature on the app, so where they can also get professional assistance within the app itself.
I see. Oh, I wasn't aware of that feature. So talking about your Vibers, I understand that your Vibers are volunteers. Considering that, you said like they have certain background that you look for in qualifications, what are these qualifications that you look for in these volunteers? And can people without these qualifications join in volunteering with your platform in any other way?
Sadly, no. We only onboard for Vibers. We only onboard psychology or anything related to mental health kind of qualifications, degree, master, even PhD, and especially those who are freelancing, so certified professionals. We do get a lot of requests of those from other backgrounds and qualifications wanting to be a volunteer. It is a really good, initiative that they want to help others. But of course, we would prioritize on handling people who are going through struggles in life really does require knowledge and background, and that's not something that anyone can actually do.
That's true. I think it's also something that you shouldn't take lightly, right? So it makes sense that you need those qualifications. How do potential volunteers contact your organization to join?
So we do a lot of these outreach programs with universities, with mental health clinics, we do it on social media. I think that's mainly, but we also get a lot from Google search. So people are searching that they want to volunteer. They want to contribute. They want to be part of a mental health platform. And that's where we get a lot of the requests as well. So mainly through Google search and universities. Word of mouth.
I see. So let's talk about like the common phrase like prevention is better than cure, right? I feel like your organization places a lot of importance on that phrase. And also, I think it was transforming mental health care. I wanted to touch on that, especially in the context of local non-profits. I was wondering how significant do you think is the role and impact of non-profits in transforming the attitude towards mental health in Malaysia, particularly?
Very important, because non-profit NGOs typically what they do is they raise awareness. They do a lot of these outreach programs, talks, collaborations, and they really try to break the stigma concerning mental health. And that is important because it is a taboo, not just in Malaysia, but globally as well. But in terms of transforming, for us, transforming mental health digitally, it's not just about taking the current solutions and creating a digital platform for it. It's about breaking that stigma by associating with prevention. So it's more, let's try to prevent and take care of whatever you're going through. Let's provide that guidance that perhaps we never had the guidance when we were younger to understand these emotions, but let's learn about it now. So that we prevent it from maybe developing into some serious mental health issues. For example, anxiety. It could develop into really severe anxiety or depression. It develop into mental illnesses that requires clinical or medical intervention. So that's something we want to prevent, and we believe, and I believe there are a lot of research articles that do show that you can prevent the development of mental health illness if you have a support system, if you have the awareness and knowledge, the guidance. There are a lot of small factors that we can do to prevent, I would say, the future and current generation from really developing mental illnesses.
To follow up with that, how do you think PlusVibes would contribute to this metamorphosis and this change and this stigma?
So we focus on positive vibes. So everything about the app is about self-care is important. It's something like you want to share good news, sharing your struggles. It's not something that you should be embarrassed about. It's more that everyone goes through struggles. That's how we try to advocate that it's normal, because sometimes people are embarrassed to share what they're going through. For example, divorce. We get a lot of users who are on the app because they're going through a really stressful divorce. And perhaps it's a sensitive topic that they can't share with their loved ones or the people, family members who are close to them. Because perhaps there's more personal connection and relationship with that kind of issue. So they need a non-biased point of view. So for us, it's more about sharing that kind of struggle, really breaking that stigma by sharing with people that it's important to just reach out for help, be it anonymous, be it on an online platform, as long as you don't pent up those emotions, because that's where you see the close to 2,000 suicide rates. Why? Because there are a lot of people who have no support system, right? So in PlusVibes, we want to provide that anonymous support system where people can just share anything without being judged. And the unique thing about the chat is that it's a 24-hour chat system whereby after 24 hours, it will be automatically deleted. It will prompt you if you want to continue or extend another 24 hours, but then after that, delete it. So users would feel safe enough to share whatever they're going through. And trust me, it is really sad to see some of the feedback whereby they give reviews and share their experiences on why they are using the app. You can see so many about abuse. You can see sexual abuse. You can see physical violence. You can see a lot of things that makes you feel like, wow, nobody actually knows that people are going through these stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's all very taboo. Like, I think the pandemic really showed us, like, how much people are actually going through this, like, without telling others. So, I wanted to touch base about, you were talking about this, safety feature where, you know, you said it's a 24-hour basis where you can, it's like Snapchat, right? But I guess it's a protocol for you to ensure the sensitive information to be able to be preserved. I guess I was just wondering what initially inspired that, like, need to guard that sensitive information, and how this idea specifically, like, comes to you guys.
I think it's more of everyone in the team has their own experience, has their own struggles that they openly shared with each and every one of us in the team. And for us, it was more of what prevented seeking help from your loved ones. And it was more not wanting their loved ones to worry or to know that those issues. And when we actually saw the feedback from our initial users, where we did a marketing program on digital marketing on IG with influencers, and that's where we saw these the normal man on the street, public, students, a user from as young as 13 years old coming on the app and started playing with the Vibers. And when we got feedback from the Vibers, we're like, wow, this is actually serious stuff where people feel like they can't reach out for anyone. So from our discussion with our advisors, mentors, psychologists, they were just like, I think it's best if it should be a 24-hour chat system. That's something that we adopted later on. We actually saw there were really serious issues.
I see. So when I go on your website, I noticed that you, it says that you can connect your clients to relevant local nearby NGOs, and that your platform is in association with or is supported by several nonprofits like Miyasa, Minda Kami, Women's Aid Organization. So what is the nature of your collaborative relationship with these organizations, and what kind of collaborations are you potentially looking for in the future that aligns with your vision?
Definitely, we are always looking to collaborate with NGOs, associations, all relating to wellness, mental health. But with them, what we're doing is also creating a platform so that people can reach out to them, because they have amazing services, counseling services, consultation, different types of programs that they are doing. So what we want is really create that awareness among the public, among our users, that there is this kind of help available. So our collaboration with them is purely to onboard their services, create an awareness of their services on the mobile application, and so that it allows users to reach out to them.
Okay, and like, what kind of collaborations are you looking for in the future, do you think?
Definitely to do more talks, campaigns, conferences around mental health. I think it would be amazing if all the NGOs and associations could participate in one really big conference where it really creates a big public and social impact. And that would really be meaningful for the general public. Other than that, maybe perhaps also to have them on board the app in terms of providing their services on the apps. For example, users can straight away connect to them. They wouldn't need to actually physically go to a location, because I think the main purpose of PlusVibes is to increase accessibility. When people physically go to a location, for example, an association is located in maybe KL, and the user is nowhere near KL, perhaps in another state, right? So having that accessibility to reach out to that organization through the mobile app is something that we would definitely like to look forward into.
So, can you share with us some of the experiences that you can share during your time with PlusVibes? Maybe like success stories or touching stories that really hits close to home with you.
I think for me, in November, what we did was we gathered and analyzed the data from the reviews, feedbacks that we've had over the past 1 year that time, since we launched the app. Yeah, PlusVibes is only a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Close to 30,000 users now.
Amazing.
And so far, I think in November, we've prevented 800 suicide ideations. Now for us, when we saw that data, we were, I don't know, it gave me goosebumps. It was as if a small mobile app that is only 1 year old was actually able to help people. I think for me that meant so much. And reading the feedback, the reviews, that people actually say that if this app didn't exist, they wouldn't know what to do. That perhaps one person was 13 years old. She was saying how she wanted to commit suicide because she felt like she was a burden to her parents. And for me, reading her review really made me so sad, because I'm thinking like, wow, how is this 13-year-old supposed to get any support?
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to reach out to? If it wasn't PlusVibes, if she didn't hear about PlusVibes, what would she actually do? And that's what we see in the past 1 or 2 years, 900 youth aged 15 to 18 years old committed suicide. And it's because of this. Because they probably didn't know, who to reach out to. They feel like a burden. They couldn't talk to anyone about it. They are going through a trauma, abuse, physical or sexual abuse, and they didn't know who to reach out to, and they just couldn't control it, and they end up committing suicide. So for us, seeing that 13-year-old review was something that really changed my perception on how far PlusVibes can go and how big of an impact it can actually make within the next 2 to 3 years after even for us now, we're still growing, we're still learning, we're still identifying better ways to improve the services, to make it more clear, so that people don't feel scared to reach out for help. I think some feedback that we also get is that when they press the middle button and it allows you to talk to someone, when they just press the button, they're like, wait a minute, what am I supposed to do? Am I just supposed to talk? It's something that people don't really feel normal doing, just sharing their problems. But what we did found, once they did, it becomes a habit. It becomes something where every week that user would come in and just share and be like, oh, actually I had a stressful day here. I just need to talk to someone. It becomes that kind of habit to actually open up. And I think that is the core of prevention, having someone to talk to. Yeah.
Wow, that's really inspiring. I think it's really disheartening to hear that, teenagers, just like in the past 2 years, there's so many who felt like there was no other way out of their situation but committing suicide and, taking their own life. So I'm really glad that a platform like PlusVibes exists in a place like Malaysia, where speaking about mental health is still such a taboo topic. So what are the future endeavors for PlusVibes now that, you're gaining this traction? What do you think is going to happen to PlusVibes in like the next 3-5 years?
Well, close there in the next 1 year, where we just won the Super Traju grant. So I think that's where we're developing a lot new features. We're also in this German fellowship based in Berlin, of which we're going to pilot test the PlusVibes program and services to a German university and a German corporate company. And that's where we can actually see whether the business is scalable on an international sense. So I think for us, for PlusVibes, it's more about really creating that platform where anyone from any part of the world can use it, and it will really try to solve that kind of solution. The prevention is better than cure.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And final question. is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners? Maybe a positive message or something to wrap things up?
Yeah, I think everyone should really absorb the fact that stress is normal. Whether you're in any industry doing anything, stress is very normal. But it's actually this kind of stress that actually grows you. It allows you to learn more about yourself. But it's not something that you should keep inside. You should always find your support system, find any type of support system that you can, because we don't really realize the importance of it until it's too late. Also about awareness in terms of seeking guidance, knowledge, reading different perspectives from other people's survival guide. That's something that I like to do. And also sharing anything that you find yourself to other people who might need it. I think that's something that we don't do enough. Like, we have the solution. We have, for example, someone is using PlusVibes, but they forget to really share it to their friends who might also need it, you know? So I think that's something that I would like to advocate on.
That's really cool. I think especially in this day and age when, we have access to social media and we have access and connectivity, I think it's really important for us to remember to share it with everyone, because we don't know who really needs it. All right. And just like that, we've reached the end of our episode. Thank you so much for joining in on this conversation, Maddie. I find it very insightful. I'm really interested to explore PlusVibes more now. And, of course, thank you so much to our listeners for tuning in. I hope everyone stays safe and takes care of their own mental health. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! And that was today's episode. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe and leave a review. It would mean a whole lot to us. You can also head over to our website at thunderquote.org to gain access to our free digital resources. See you next time!